The night was colder than usual, the kind of cold that seemed to seep through the skin and sink into the bones. Aria pulled her jacket tighter around herself as she stood before the towering iron gates of the Blackwood mansion. For years, this place had been nothing more than a whispered rumor in the town, an empty, decaying house where no family lasted longer than a single night. The stories said the house was cursed. Some claimed it was haunted by the spirits of the Blackwood family who had vanished without a trace over a century ago. Others said the walls themselves were alive, feeding off fear. Aria wasn't a believer. She was a content creator, and her growing YouTube audience loved haunted exploration videos. This was going to be her biggest project yet. 20 minutes of raw terror inside the infamous Blackwood Mansion would surely push her channel into fame. With a deep breath, she clicked her camera on, the little red light blinking to life, and pushed open the gates. They moaned in protest, echoing like a warning. The path was littered with dead leaves, the trees clawing at the sky like twisted fingers. The house stood at the end, its broken windows and sagging roof giving it the look of a corpse refusing to rest. As she approached, she noticed something strange. Though the night was still, the house seemed to exhale. The curtains in the cracked windows shifted slightly, as though stirred by breath from within. Inside, the air smelled of damp rot and rust. Dust swirled in her flashlight beam. Every step on the wooden floor groaned like a scream muffled underfoot. The grand foyer opened up before her, a wide staircase curling upwards, its banister draped in cobwebs. On the walls hung portraits, stern men and pale women, their painted eyes glistening as though wet with life. Aria paused. The camera was recording, but her heart thumped hard. For a moment, she could swear the painted eyes blinked. She whispered into the lens, "This is it, guys. The Blackwood House. Let's see if it's as haunted as they say." Her voice echoed, but the echo didn't come right after. It came half a beat later, like someone repeating her words in the dark. She moved cautiously through the dining room. The long table was still set, silverware rusted and plates cracked, but it looked as though a family had just stood up and walked away. A faint tapping began above her head. At first, she thought it was dripping water, but when she looked up, the chandelier was swaying, though there was no breeze. The tapping grew louder, sharper, until it became footsteps, pacing across the ceiling. Her breath quickened as she climbed the stairs. The hallway stretched unnaturally long, lined with doors. She opened the first one on her right, a child's bedroom. Dusty toys lay scattered across the floor. A rocking horse tilted forward slightly, as if caught mid-motion. On the bed was a porcelain doll, its face cracked, one glass eye missing. She lifted her camera closer, narrating nervously. Then, with a sharp snap, the doll's head turned toward her. Its one remaining eye glistened in the beam, and in a voice like air leaking from a broken pipe, it whispered, "Get out." Aria stumbled back, nearly tripping over a toy truck. She slammed the door shut, her breathing ragged. But the whisper hadn't stopped. Even outside the room, she could still hear it, faintly repeating, "Get out, get out." Shaking, she moved into another room, a study. The shelves were filled with books, their spines rotting, titles unreadable. On the desk lay an open diary, pages yellowed with age. She filmed as she flipped to the last entry. The handwriting was jagged, desperate. The whispers are everywhere. They come from the walls. They know my name. The house will not let us leave. As soon as she spoke the words aloud, a low hum filled the air, vibrating the bookshelves. One by one, the books tumbled to the ground, as if shoved by invisible hands. A book struck her leg. She screamed and ran from the room, the camera shaking wildly in her grip. The house twisted as she fled. The hallways no longer matched her memory. She tried retracing her steps, but every turn led to another unfamiliar corridor. The wallpaper shifted, patterns crawling like worms beneath the surface. Her flashlight flickered. The shadows stretched unnaturally long, bending and curling into shapes that shouldn't exist. Then she heard it, whispers, dozens of them, laid on top of each other, soft at first, then clearer. Aria, Aria, stay with us. Her name. The house knew her name. Terror flooded her veins. She hadn't told anyone she was coming tonight. No one could know. And yet the voices knew. She ducked into the master bedroom. Unlike the others, it was untouched. The bed was made, sheets white as bone. On the nightstand sat a mirror. She approached, the camera trembling in her hand. Her reflection stared back, but it didn't move when she did. Instead, it smiled. Its lips moved silently, then clearly mouthed, "You're mine now." She screamed, smashing the mirror with her flashlight. Shards rained onto the floor, but in every shard, her reflection still smiled back. Dozens of grins staring up at her from the ground. She ran down the stairs, desperate. The foyer loomed ahead, and with it, the front door. She bolted to it, tugging at the knob, but it was sealed. Behind her, the whispers rose into shrieks. Pale figures filled the foyer, their mouths wide, whispering, whispering. Aria fled into the basement, finding walls covered with scratches, a chained skeleton, and her camera glitching with impossible visions. The skeleton's jaw creaked open. "Join us." The door slammed shut. The next morning, only the camera remained. Its final frame showed Aria, her eyes hollow, smiling into the lens as she whispered, "Stay." And from that day, her voice joined the mansion's eternal chorus, calling to anyone who dared step inside.